Hey everyone, I'm Andy and welcome to another episode of Easy Tiki Drinks. Well, the community has spoken. You guys voted, and today we're going to be making a coffee Mai Tai. So, let's do this. So a couple weeks back, I did a Mai Tai riff called the Breakfast Mai Tai by Fanny Chu, and I got the recipe from Easy Tiki Drinks. No, I did not steal the name from this book, but that is where I found the recipe for this cocktail. It's a great cocktail. I love it. But while sipping on it, I kind of thought to myself, this doesn't really remind me of breakfast. It's got like banana liqueur in it. Somebody did point out the fact that like cinnamon, banana pancakes, and maple syrup, that screams breakfast. And you know what? You're right. But for me, I thought, what if I did a breakfast Mai Tai slightly different? What if I went in a different direction? Instead of looking at what I would eat for breakfast, what about what I would drink for breakfast? So this also brought up another thing. Now, in the world of Tiki, we come across certain liqueurs, or what I like to call modifiers, that we use in our cocktails. Pierre Ferrand's dry curacao, and just curacao in general, is one of those things. And we see that in the Mai Tai all the time. We also see Velvet Falernum, Blue Curacao, which I've done a ton of videos on, and a couple others. One of the things that has recently come onto the scene is a new coffee liqueur. Before this coffee liqueur, we basically had Kahlua, and that was the kind of staple. Kahlua is overly sweet, and in Tiki drinks what we like to do is be able to balance our own sweetness with our syrups instead of having to kind of balance out other sweet things with tart elements like overdoing the lime juice. So the coffee liqueur that I'm talking about is Mr. Black, and it's actually a cold brew coffee liqueur. Now, here's the deal. I haven't bought a bottle before. Now I've tasted it, I have it at the bar at work, but I've not bought a bottle for myself for the bar behind me. So I asked myself, should I use Kahlua in this coffee Mai Tai that I want to do? Sure, I absolutely could. Or what if I made my own cold brew coffee liqueur? And that's exactly what I did. So if you stick around till after I build this thing, I'll tell you how I made my own kind of Mr. Black look-alike cold brew coffee liqueur. But anyway, let's see what we're gonna need to make this cold brew Mai Tai? Breakfast Mai Tai? Mai Breakfast Tai is what I'm calling it. So anyway, let's see what we're gonna need to make this cocktail. First, we're gonna need an overproof Demerara rum. We're gonna need a aged Jamaican rum, cold brew coffee liqueur, Orgeat, cinnamon syrup, and lime juice. The overproof Demerara rum that I'm using is Plantation OFTD. The aged Jamaican rum that I'm using is Plantation Xaymaca. The cold brew coffee liqueur is my homemade cold brew coffee liqueur. The Orgeat is from BG Reynolds. Let's rearrange this. Awesome. So, like I said, this is my take on a breakfast Mai Tai. So that's why I'm calling it the Mai Breakfast Tai. Now, I don't normally wear ties to breakfast, but it seemed like a really cool name. So let's build this, I'll sip on it, and then I'll tell you how I made my own homemade cold brew coffee liqueur. First, we're gonna need an ounce of lime juice. Next up, we're gonna need a 1/4 ounce of our cinnamon syrup. Half an ounce of our Orgeat. Now I'm using the BG Reynolds Orgeat. They did send me this bottle, and I do have an affiliate link down below, so if you like to purchase your own, do me a favor, go through the link. I get a little commission off of it. I'd really appreciate it. I really like the BG Reynolds Orgeat because it has a nice nutty flavor without being too overpowering. I've had some like toasted Orgeats before that just completely overtake a cocktail. And that's why I'm going with a 1/2 ounce of this, because I find that that balances out and presents the almond just enough. So 1/2 ounce of our Orgeat. Next up is our homemade cold brew coffee liqueur. Now typically in a Mai Tai, we would use a 1/2 ounce of Pierre Ferrand's dry curacao. We're swapping that out for the cold brew coffee liqueur. We are gonna need a 1/2 ounce, so let's do that. For our rum blend, we're gonna take a page out of Jason Alexander's Officer's Mai Tai, where he splits the base between 2 plantation rums. I actually did a video on his Officer's Mai Tai, and I'll leave a card up here and a link in the description below. Basically, it's a split 1-to-1 of Plantation Xaymaca, which is an aged Jamaican rum, and Plantation OFTD, which is a 3-island blend. So first, we're gonna need an ounce of our aged Jamaican rum. Now, if you don't wanna use Plantation Xaymaca, that's fine. Use any aged Jamaican rum, Smith & Cross, Appleton 12, Hampton 46, any of those will work. You want something with a little bit of funk on it though. 1 ounce of our aged Jamaican rum. Now the other split base on Jason's Officer's Mai Tai is the Plantation OFTD, so we're gonna keep that here as well. I'm just drawing inspiration from it, and honestly, the kind of roasty notes that we get from the Demerara rum inside of the OFTD complement the coffee liqueur in this cocktail fabulously. Another option to go with would be any overproof Demerara rum, so Hamilton 151, Lemon Heart 151. If you don't want the proof, what I'd recommend is going with a Demerara rum, so maybe like an Eldorado 12 or a Lemon Heart 1804. Or if you have your own favorite, go with that. But anyway, we're gonna need an ounce of our overproof Demerara rum or regular proof Demerara rum. We're gonna add some ice to our big cocktail shaker. I'm just gonna pour our cocktail in, give it a nice little whack, and then we're gonna shake for about 5 to 8 seconds. Right, grab our double rocks glass, move some stuff out of the way, pour our cocktail in, grab some more ice to top it off with. All right, now for a garnish. Typically, I would go with a mint sprig, and I have to apologize. I'm a bad Tiki bartender. I have no mint today. I went to the grocery store, they were just out of it. I don't know what happened. Normally I get these like big bags of mint, which are great. The grocery store that I went to, sold out, just gone, done. They had these little like plastic containers of mint, but they just didn't look good. And I don't want to present you guys with something that looks terrible. So we're gonna forego the mint today. I really think I should probably start growing my own mint. But here in Massachusetts, I know mint does really well in the sun and the heat, and we just don't have that year round. So if anybody has any tips on how to grow mint indoors, please drop comments below because I really think I should start growing my own mint. So normally, mint sprig, I'm gonna go with a lime wheel, and then we're gonna go with a cinnamon stick. And today, I'm gonna do something that I should have done a long time ago, and that is play with fire. So we're gonna take this mint stick, mint sprig, this cinnamon stick, and we're gonna char it with my little butane torch right here. And this is gonna help release the aromatic so that while it's in the cocktail and I'm sipping from it, I'm getting that whiff of burnt cinnamon. Here we go. Now, as always, as a rule of advice, do not play with fire unless you are trained. I play with this stuff at work all the time. Oh yeah, that cinnamon smells so good. So we're just gonna drop that right in there. Make sure we cap this before putting it back. And then, because we've got coffee in this cocktail, I'm gonna pull a garnish from a classic cocktail, the espresso martini. I'm gonna go with some coffee beans, 3 of them to be specific. We're just gonna drop those right in front there. 3 is symbolic of good luck. If you ever get served an espresso martini and it doesn't have 3 espresso beans in it, that's like a recipe for bad luck. So we got 3 coffee beans here. We're gonna grab our straw, put that right in next to our cinnamon stick, which is falling into the drink. Let's try and fix that a little bit. There we go. And there you have it. My version of a breakfast Mai Tai or a coffee Mai Tai, what I'm calling the Mai Breakfast Tai. Let's try it. Yeah. So that is, it tastes like, how shall I put this? It tastes like a cinnamon nut milk like latte, but it's got booze in it. So we're definitely getting that creaminess from the Orgeat, and it is definitely presenting with that almond flavor, which is really, really nice. That cinnamon, along with that cinnamon stick, is really just adding a nice back note of spice. That cold brew coffee liqueur is adding such a nice depth of flavor that you know there's cold brew in this thing. And I'll talk about that in a second. And then the rums are just creating a super nice, like, deep and rich rum back note to this cocktail. I really enjoy this. Like on Sundays when I'm doing brunch at the house, this is the cocktail that I make for myself. But anyway, let's talk about the star of the show here and why you probably all came here. How did I make cold brew coffee liqueur to mimic that of Mr. Black? Well, it's actually really not complicated at all. And in fact, the cold brew coffee liqueur that I made not only represents and tastes very similar to Mr. Black, but specifically the new rum barrel rested Mr. Black that's out there. So, the deal with Mr. Black is that it's not as sweet as Kahlua. Now, it is a liqueur, so it does have sugar, but it's not overly sweet. So I didn't want to make mine overly sweet either. Basically, what you're gonna do is you're gonna take cold brew coffee concentrate or cold brew coffee that you buy at the grocery store, the bottled stuff. You can make your own, absolutely, but I like to just go and buy the bottled stuff. The stuff that I buy is actually Stoked, and I buy like the extra bold because I like that flavor. You're gonna cut that with sugar, and then you're gonna proof it. Now, I proofed it with something that's in my realm. You could proof it with a neutral spirit, much as Mr. Black does, vodka, Everclear, anything without kind of that flavor profile. I proofed mine with Plantation OFTD. That's why it tastes more like the rum barrel rested Mr. Black than the traditional Mr. Black. Now, I know I haven't given you any specifics, and it's because I don't remember them off the top of my head. So I'm gonna leave the recipe in the description below. Make sure to check that out if you're looking for it. Now, when I proofed mine, I did proof it to 25% ABV, same as Mr. Black. So as you can see, I literally created a cold brew coffee liqueur by using cold brew coffee, sugar, and a spirit that is the same sugar level or similar to Mr. Black, which is not very sweet at all, with a kind of back note of that rum that we get from the Plantation OFTD. It is so good. I could literally sip that stuff neat if I wanted to. I will tell you, and be warned, there is actual caffeine in this cold brew coffee liqueur because I used actual cold brew. Now, another way to do it would be to steep coffee beans inside of a spirit. I hesitate to do that, and I would caution you against doing it as well, simply because you don't know the actual caffeine extraction that's coming out of that coffee bean into the spirit. So anyway, that's it for today's video. There's my recipe in the description below for the cold brew coffee liqueur. This is my version of a breakfast Mai Tai, what I'm calling the Mai Breakfast Tai. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please make sure to smash that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, click that little notification bell, follow me over on Instagram and TikTok. I have gone back to TikTok, took a few weeks off, but I'm back posting some TikToks on how to make these cocktails in easy clips that are like under 60 seconds. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time, take it easy.